Namaste, viewers. Welcome to Jaipur Dialogue USA. Today, I wanted to touch base on two subject matters, which will be definitely a subject matter of further discussion, in-depth discussion. But today, I want to leave you with thoughts as to what is happening in America. Somewhere along the line, it will also travel to the rest of the world. But the two issues which are very significant are affecting the social life of America is the gender dispute, the gender ramifications of, transgender and many definitions of gender, he, she, it, they, them, whatever is happening. This is important. And I wanted to say this because a doctor friend of mine shared his thoughts, and took his permission to quote him and highlight certain very important issues. And this is what he has to say. And he says that, in what Kafkaesque, the philosopher Kafka. So in what Kafkaesque world does a female athletic champion, speaking on women's rights, no less, gets punched by a man in a dress as a woman? This happened recently in Kentucky State in a swimming competition. A woman athlete was competing with a transgender who was almost a male, and she tied with him. And the result was that the NCAA, which is the awarding authority, the controlling authority in the US, awarded the first prize to the transgender guy. Now that's very important to bear in mind. It was awarded. And when she objected and asked why, she was told that it would look good to give the award to a transgender. That was absolutely ridiculous because it would look good. So you realize what is happening here. If the society is trying to look good and make up to somebody who's a transgender competing in a tournament of women, which is a very important ramification of this, because that transgender man was ranking way, way, way below in the men's competitions. And now, as a woman, he or she becomes a champion. Think about it. This is the important part. And in that context, this statement by a doctor was very significant. And he says that the Democrats have been playing these gender bender games, which are absolutely ridiculous and dangerous for society at large. When he went across the street for his vaccination at Cornell Medical School, he had to make a choice of his gender out of a panel of 13 gender types. Being a physician, he called the president of the college and asked, who sits on the advisory panel to Senator Gillibrand, another woke Democrat managed by Senator Schumer. He said that unfortunately, the school has been arm twisted to reflect societal norms. He personally did not believe in it, but had to comply. This is neither science nor medicine. Same for transgender. Any man who undergoes a sex change post-puberty must still be considered as a male gender, as male hormones already have had their effect on the physiology and metabolism, which is irreversible. Biological women simply cannot compete with a transgendered male post-puberty. We are heading towards medical fascism not too far from Mingala. This must change, or we are heading for disaster, for irreversible damage, destruction of human life, and leading to a catastrophic collapse of society. This is remarkably important because this refers to specifically when males change their gender. This is the post-puberty scenario. That's critical. It's not a natural phenomenon. People can be born as a transgender. That's a different thing altogether. Nobody wants to be a transgender. Nobody wants to be born. We are all born in a particular manner. We didn't have the right to ask to be a choice of a male or a female or whatever else. Whether we have a poor arm and a leg, whether we are mentally deficient, a child that is born in a particular way. Then, instead of uniting and bringing togetherness, the Democratic Party is playing the further divisive game. See, remember Martina Navratilova? She was the first athlete to declare herself as lesbian. But that was not changing gender. It is competing in the tournament as a woman, not as anything else. So, this is what is important for us to bear in mind, that what exactly is going on. And here is a very critical element. Virtually, the women's sports is the hardest hit. This is the worst kind of a thing that a society or politics can do to women in any country, because they make up of half of the population. They are essential for our life and living. So impacting women's sports in such a sad way is really, really disappointing. I think we all must arise to this scenario. And just as there is special Olympics or special sports events for people who are physically challenged, like, for example, US Open, tennis, you have tennis players playing wheelchair tennis. And that's very exciting to watch and see the outcomes, how people try. So there is a special Olympics for special people. Likewise, why doesn't Nike, ESPN, Adidas, and various corporates who support transgenderism sponsor a transgender games? Probably that will allow the society to prosper in a particular way without any further discrimination. Talking about discrimination, the second issue, which is suddenly caught onto the wild imagination of the society here, is the caste factor. That affects Indians and Hindus the most, regardless of where you are. This is another form of discrimination being launched against Hindus in this part of the world. It is tragic indeed that while the Indians are remarkably successful here, certain sections of the Dalit people, in collaboration with several other vested interests, are accusing Hindus of being casteist. I'm going to talk about the caste in my perception of things in a very different show, in a rather longish way. I want to do that because none of the Indians, and I make it very clear, none of the Indians who have been successful in this country are successful because of any caste privileges. Everyone has worked hard. The CEOs, the number of CEOs who are there in that position, they are not there because of caste advantages. They are there because purely on a performance basis. But it is a discrimination being done against a specific community, whether it is in Seattle, whether it is in California. An Afghani woman, and I look at it this way, a first-term legislator from Afghan origin is launching an anti-caste thing in California, as if all Hindus were dead. This is where you begin to worry. Why does an Afghani woman, and I will say this with due respect, you have so much discrimination going around in your own faith, in your own country. Instead of launching a legislation for that, you are launching a legislation for discriminating against Hindus, bringing them in a fold where they don't belong. So while all discriminations must end, this is a very vicious tool to discriminate specifically against Hindus. And that's why it is important for all Hindus to rise against this, because this is going to be vicious. I'm told that in California and a couple of other states, we are already facing discrimination. Our children are not getting internships. You know why? Because internships have been reserved, not for qualified, but for the purposes of equity, to give others a chance to be in the pool. That's what is dangerous about this entire caste thing. It's not about we want discrimination. We want discrimination to end, because the caste thing brings about discrimination against Hindus who have been successful, both with reference to collegial admissions, college admissions, and job. It is not going to happen. And I'm willing to enter into a debate, and this is a very vital point. I want to appeal to all the Dalit and all the people who are motivated by the caste thing. Remember, they are coming after you too, because eventually you will be discriminated against in addition to me. Think about that, because you will be your children and you will be successful by your own merit and performance. There is no discrimination. One last thing that I wanted to add here. The entire thing has been based on Equality Lab's hateful agenda against Hindus. You can look up the report, it's all public. There are people in the videos have emerged of people who have been vituperating venom against us, venom against Hindus. And that's what is dangerous. All of you must read the Carnegie Foundation research on it, which also said that there was no evidence of caste based discrimination in America. Yet, you and I have not taken that particular report forward in California and in Seattle and other things. Last thing, this is an appeal to all Indians who 80% in more than 80% of them vote for Democrat. All these anti-Hindu, anti-India steps are taken in Democrat-run states and councils. Be careful about that. Because we vote for them, they take us for granted, as if we don't care for that, whatever they can do against us. It's time for us to rise against injustice and discrimination, the very thing that they preach that they are trying to end. What a blasphemy. Thank you very much for watching today. Please like, subscribe our channel, share, and Jaipur Dialogue USA and Jaipur Dialogue. Thank you very much. As I always say, Satyamev Jayate, truth must prevail. Thank you.